This is an autographed photo of Bob Barker, the legendary game show host. I actually wrote him a fan letter in the mid to late 80s and got this in return. Today's video is about Bob Barker.
Entertainer Bob Barker lived in his 4,000 square foot house in central Hollywood, about 4 blocks from the legendary Grauman's Chinese Theater. This 6-bedroom home was built in 1929 in the historic Outpost Estates. He bought it in 1960 and shared this home with his late wife, Dorothy Jo. Bob died in this house. Bob was a familiar sight to local tour guides, often waving to the tour buses as they passed by. Unless you're driving a hearse. He didn't care for that. Bob Barker was probably the most popular and iconic American game show host of the 20th century, best known for hosting the shows Truth or Consequences and The Price is Right, working for over 50 years. Bob was working in radio in 1956 when producer Ralph Edwards invited him to audition as the new host for a show called Truth or Consequences, a game show in which audience members were given a question or a truth. A silly question that no contestant was likely to know the answer to. Then they had to do the wacky stunts or the consequence, usually a good-natured humiliation that the guest already signed up for. Bob joined the U.S. Navy Reserve and trained as a pilot. He was trained in dogfights and night flying, but World War II ended before he would see combat. Truth or Consequences famously orchestrated reunions with young couples. One of them, the soldier's spouse, who were deployed to Vietnam. The show would secretly fly their spouse in and incorporate the soldier into a skit, unbeknownst to their other half, providing them a tearful and happy reunion for all of America to enjoy. Barker also spent 20 years as host of the Miss USA pageant and Miss Universe pageant. Now, a lot of people didn't know that Bob had been a vegetarian for over 40 years. He was a longtime aggressive animal rights activist who encouraged responsible pet ownership, daily urging his viewers,
Bob Barker reminding you help control the pet population. Have your pets spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.
Bob boycotted the Miss USA pageant in 1987 in protest over their presentation of fur coats to winners. Bob Barker began hosting The Price is Right on September 4th, 1972. The show was a reboot from the original, which ended in 1965, and Bob stayed with the show for 35 years. Barker well understood the attraction of The Price is Right, in which audience members were invited to come on down to the stage and compete for prizes by guessing their retail value. Now, contestants were usually chosen for their animated behavior observed while they were lining up before showtime. Sometimes when they were chosen, they were so excited that it actually scared producers and Bob himself. Bob was often charged by the guest, who sometimes grabbed Bob and physically assaulted him. He said, "I've been stepped on, kicked, punched, squeezed, bear-hugged, and even manhandled by overexcited contestants." More than once, a contestant literally lifted Bob off his feet and tossed him in their excitement. But the show was a huge success. Bob once said, "I want the contestants to feel as though they're guests in my home. Perhaps my feeling of respect for them comes across to viewers, and that may be one of the reasons why I've lasted." In 1987, he went against the norm and stopped dyeing his hair. When the show returned after a break, Bob walked onto the Price is Right stage with a full head of silver hair to a standing ovation.
My goodness. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, there's a little different note to that. Well, you like the suit, is that it?
His career longevity, he said, was the result of being content. I had the opportunity to do this type of show, and I discovered I enjoyed doing it. People who do something that they thoroughly enjoy I don't think they want to stop. Now, as I mentioned before, Bob had been a vegetarian for over 40 years. Bob teamed up with PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, back in 2013 to highlight the benefits of the diet, saying giving up meat can help prevent the onset of a brain disorder. Bob met his wife, Dorothy Jo Gideon, at an Ella Fitzgerald concert that he was attending in high school in Missouri. They began dating when he was 15. After they were married and he became successful, they appeared on couples game shows like Tattletales.
Dorothy Jo, if our magic genie came to you and offered you either more money or more friends, which would you choose?
Well, I suppose if you have enough friends, you could always make some money, so I guess it's friends.
That's what the man said. Dorothy Jo and Bob and Patty and Pat are right. They split it in half.
Dorothy Jo died in 1981 at the age of 57. It's been said that Bob made weekly visits to leave flowers on her grave. He's also had his own name engraved on the headstone next to Dorothy Jo's. Bob said he never wanted to marry anyone after Dorothy Jo passed away. They had no children. Bob's career was not without controversy. There have been issues with some of the models who worked on The Price is Right, most notably Diane Parkinson, who in 1994 said she had to sleep with Bob to keep her job. She said she felt like a sex slave to a monster. She sued him. Bob admitted to the affair and claimed it was consensual. Diane ultimately dropped the lawsuit, claiming she couldn't handle the stress or the cost. Another model who sued Bob for sexual harassment was Holly Hallstrom. She claimed she was fired for gaining weight. Bob denied the allegations. Another was an infamous disagreement with fellow animal rights activist Betty White, who Bob once referred to as his, quote, sworn enemy. The conflict between the game show host and the beloved actress involved an elephant named Billy at the Los Angeles Zoo. Bob offered to pay the $1.5 million it would take to transfer Billy to a sanctuary, which was located in San Andreas, California. Betty White's argument was that animals in zoos raise awareness for the issues their wild counterparts face, including extinction. In the end, the zoo came out on top, and Billy remains there to this day, outliving both Bob Barker and Betty White. Lightheartedly, Bob had an epic cameo performance in the Adam Sandler film Happy Gilmore. If you're a Bob Barker fan, you'll love it.
The price is wrong, bitch.
Now you've had enough, bitch.
Bob retired in June of 2007, telling his studio audience, I thank you, thank you, thank you for inviting me into your home for more than 50 years. In all, Bob Barker taped more than 5,000 shows in his career. He said he was retiring because, quote, I'm just reaching the age where the constant effort to be there and do the show physically is a lot for me. Better to leave a year too soon than a year too late. He added, I have grown old in your service. Health-wise, Bob had a minor stroke in 1999 from a blocked carotid artery in his neck. The, quote, brave last days of Bob Barker articles started around 2010. In 2011, when he was 87, he was given 1 year to live. Bob's failing vision resulted in multiple falls over the years. He's had prostate surgery and minor battles with skin cancer, and took 2 trips to the hospital with issues for his back. The acclaimed television host died in this Hollywood Hills home on Saturday, August 26, 2023. He was 99 years old. It was a surprise to the public that Bob had suffered from Alzheimer's for several years. Also contributing to his death was hypertension, high cholesterol, and hypothyroidism, a condition where there isn't enough thyroid hormone in your bloodstream and your metabolism slows down. CBS said in a statement that daytime television has lost one of its most iconic stars. It's expected that Bob will donate his entire fortune, some estimating to be around $70 million, to animal rights causes. In his lifetime, he supported many organizations. He donated $1 million to Columbia University for animal rights studies, $5 million to the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, and $2.5 million to PETA. $2 million went to the Semper Fi Fund for injured vets. Bob Barker's kind spirit also lives with Save the Chimps. Bob Barker was given a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Daytime Emmy Awards. He closed his acceptance remarks with a sign-off.
It has been suggested that since this is a Lifetime Achievement Award, that I should say something profound. And I shall. Help control the pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for watching, and a huge special thank you to the Facebook and Instagram pages Hollywood Unwrapped. My friend Lisa went above and beyond to get this video footage, like crazy above and beyond. Thank you so much for your help, Lisa. Thank you all very much for your time and for your attention. And until next time.